Ixley here. Today I will show you a 2019 comedy film titled Son of a Rich. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Grisha is the son of a very rich man in Russia, and he behaves like it. He is spoiled, very rude, and always in trouble because no one ever punishes him. He doesn't do anything meaningful with his life. He spends all his time partying, drinking, and using women. One night, he promises a girl a ride, but kicks her out when she refuses to get close to him. Later, the police stop him for speeding. Grisha tries to bribe Captain Semyonov, like he always does with other cops, but this time the officer refuses. Still, Grisha doesn't care about rules, so he tries to drive away. But Semyonov steps in front of the car to stop him, but Grisha doesn't stop. He has no empathy, so he keeps driving with Semyonov still hanging on the hood. A little later, Grisha's father, Pavel, comes to the police station to pay bail and get his son out. Grisha stays the same spoiled brat as always. The police chief tells Pavel about all the damage Grisha has caused in the past few months, like wrecking a yacht and now badly injuring a cop. He says Grisha is completely out of control and Pavel needs to finally take action. After bail is paid, Pavel scolds Grisha and warns him that he'll cut him off. But Grisha doesn't care. He knows his dad only threatens but never follows through. Feeling very stressed, Pavel goes to see his friend with benefits, TV producer Anastasia, hoping to feel better. He's lost on what to do with his son, and he can't even send him to the army because he already pulled strings to stop that before. Anastasia gets an idea. She remembers a man she used to work with on horror movies who might be able to help. His ways are strange, but they really work. Pavel agrees to meet him. They go to Lev Arnoldovich's creepy house and see him hanging from the ceiling with a rope, but it's just a trick. This is his talent, making realistic props and special effects to fool people's eyes. Lev shows Pavel how he helped a smoker quit by pretending to cut off his own finger. Pavel gets scared and wants to leave, but Anastasia convinces him to at least listen to Lev's plan for Grisha. Many days later, Grisha walks out of a club and sees his car being towed. He runs after the truck, but suddenly gets shot and passes out. Hours later, he wakes up in a stable, wearing weird clothes. A stable boy named Artyom tells him to saddle the horses or their lord will get mad. Grisha is confused and has no idea what's happening. Then, a man named Foreman Ovi Mikhalik comes in, drags him out, and kicks him while shouting at him for not doing his job. At that moment, the landowner Dmitry Timofeyev and his son Alexei Timofeyev arrive. They hand a whip to Ovi, who uses it once on Grisha for not listening. Dmitry warns Grisha to prepare the horse now or face worse punishment. Artyom takes Grisha back to the stable, but Grisha escapes through the window and runs away. He finds himself in a village that looks like it's from 1860s Russia, before serfdom ended. As he runs, he asks people for a phone or the police, but no one knows what he means. Grisha finally reaches the edge of the estate but slips and falls into a lake. Cold and wet, he returns to the village for dry clothes, but Ovi catches him and takes him away to be hanged for trying to escape. Luckily for Grisha, Dmitry's daughter Aglaya arrives and begs her father to spare the prisoners. She says she's tired of seeing so much killing. Since it's her birthday, Dmitry agrees, and Grisha is allowed to live. Above them, a bird flies by, watching everything before heading toward a building at the edge of town. But it's not really a bird, it's a drone made to look like one. This isn't time travel. It's all part of Lev's plan to teach Grisha a lesson. With Pavel's money, this big setup is possible. Lev runs the operation, and Anastasia uses her skills as a TV producer to make sure the illusion feels real and nothing goes wrong. Hidden cameras are placed all around the village, even in trees. A sniper is always on standby with a tranquilizer gun, just in case Grisha tries anything dangerous. When Pavel sees his son actually getting whipped, he starts to worry if he made the right choice. But Lev assures him it's all for Grisha's benefit. Later, Pavel notices Lev and Anastasia arguing and asks what's going on. Lev tells him that when Anastasia said they worked on a horror movie together, she really meant they were once married. Meanwhile, Grisha sits alone in the stable, trying to understand how he ended up in the past. At the same time, the actors get their scripts for the next scene. The director reminds the actors about the rules. Women can't shave their legs, men can't shave their faces, and things like bras, underwear, earrings, and rings are not allowed. Alexei grabs his script after greeting his girlfriend Liza, who takes care of the horses and isn't part of the acting crew. He also mocks Aglaya about her contract. The writers want her to be Grisha's love interest, which means she'll have to sleep with him in the story. This makes Alexei question when being an actress turns into something else. Meanwhile, Grisha begins to suffer through a tough routine in the village. He must wake up before sunrise, eat thin broth with bits of flies meat, work with horses he's scared of, use the forest as a bathroom, wear pants with no underwear, and get whipped whenever he's rude. One afternoon, Misha is resting from work when he hears Aglaya crying. She tells him she's upset because her father wants her to marry an old rich man. But instead of feeling bad for her, Grisha thinks it's a smart idea. Since the man is old, he might die soon, and Aglaya will get all his money. A few days later, Grisha steals a chicken and asks Artyom to bring him tools to make soup. Grisha eats the whole soup by himself, even though Artyom did most of the work. When the missing chicken is noticed, the foreman demands the thief come forward or someone will be whipped at random. Again, Grisha shows no care for others and stays silent as Artyom is dragged away to be whipped. A little later, Artyom meets Grisha and shows him the scars on his back, which were actually made by the makeup team. Grisha still doesn't care. As he explains why he doesn't feel bad, he notices Liza jumping off a horse. Her skirt gets caught for a moment, and Grisha sees she's wearing modern underwear. Thinking this might be a clue about what's going on, he chases after her and pushes her to the ground, trying to look at her panties again. Luckily, some villagers step in, pull him off her, and Liza runs away. Since Grisha still isn't changing, Pavel wants to end the whole plan. But before he can, they get surprising news. Grisha is looking for Liza to say sorry. At first, the villagers ignore Grisha because, in the story, he's not even supposed to know Liza. But Lev sees this as a good chance for real progress and tells the actors to let him know where she lives. Grisha goes to Liza and says sorry. Liza, holding a wooden stick with a nail just in case, listens and accepts his apology but says she'll still be careful around him for a while. A few days later, it's time to celebrate Ivan Kupala, a traditional holiday known as the most magical night of the year. People believe that whoever you celebrate it with will be with you for life. At the party, Grisha teaches the musicians how to play the lambada and starts a conga line. Aglaya joins in and tells Grisha she can't handle the pressure of the arranged marriage anymore, so she's going to walk into the forest that night. Instead of going after Aglaya to stop her, Grisha finds Liza and starts telling her stories about future technology. Liza feels sorry for him and his loneliness, and says she believes he's a time traveler. Their conversation is cut short by Artyom, who tries many times to distract Grisha from Liza. He finally says that Aglaya was seen near the lake. Grisha puts the pieces together and runs to the lake to save her, bringing her back to the village. But when Aglaya tries to get close to him, he gently rejects her and goes looking for Liza instead. She's not at the party, so he heads to her house, where the stage crew quickly hides before she opens the door. Grisha tells Liza he wants to spend the night with her so the legend might come true for them. But Liza isn't interested and shuts the door in his face. The next day, Lev decides that Liza will now be Grisha's love interest, so she officially joins the group of actors. She still doesn't like Grisha much and refuses to kiss or sleep with him, but she does want to help him become a better person. Alexei, her boyfriend, isn't happy about her getting involved like this. The crew starts a new storyline. Alexei is found drunk in town after causing a lot of trouble. He says he deserves a share of someone's land just because he's a noble. Instead of being upset about Alexei's attitude, Grisha feels jealous, thinking Alexei must have had a great night. But his mood changes quickly when Dmitri tells him he must take Alexei's place and receive the punishment instead. At first, Grisha refuses, but Dmitri promises him freedom and tasty food if he takes the punishment, so Grisha agrees. This time, he remembers to share the meal with Artyom. Meanwhile, Anastasia and Lev begin to get along again. Pavel starts to worry they might get back together, but Lev laughs at the idea, saying Anastasia clearly loves Pavel. This surprises Pavel because he always thought their relationship was only physical. Now, he has a lot to think about. Grisha is whipped 24 times, but Pavel can't bear to watch it on the screen and walks out. Anastasia follows him and comforts him by showing how effective Lev's ideas are. His finger-cutting trick is what helped her quit smoking. After the punishment ends, Grisha goes to the landowner's house to ask for the freedom papers he was promised. But Dmitri isn't there. Alexei answers instead. He throws Grisha to the ground, kicks him, spits on him, and laughs at him for ever believing he'd be truly set free. Grisha clenches his fists and thinks about fighting back. But in the end, he quietly walks away, which disappoints Leviticus. From that point on, Grisha keeps working in the stables, but he also begins spending more time with Liza and slowly falls in love with her. One afternoon, while they're walking together, they spot a bird flying in a strange pattern. It's actually a drone that has gone out of control. While the producers get a sniper ready in case it crashes, Liza tries to distract Grisha by saying she's seen that bird since childhood and believes it's her guardian angel. Luckily, they don't need the sniper. The tech team fixes the issue and safely removes the drone. Meanwhile, Alexei and Aglaya are both upset with the current situation. Aglaya is angry that she was replaced by Liza, and Alexei doesn't like that his girlfriend is spending so much time with Grisha. The two end up making love inside a carriage, and Grisha and Liza accidentally catch them while walking past. Liza feels heartbroken after seeing her boyfriend cheat on her, and Grisha is confused, thinking he just saw two siblings doing something wrong. Because of the incident, Lev decides to fire both Aglaya and Alexei. Since Liza has been feeling down, Grisha tries to cheer her up by decorating the stable with candles and preparing a special dinner. They eat together and even share a fork. Later, they go outside to watch the stars. Grisha tells Liza that if he were a free man, he would marry her. He also shares how he felt fooled by the promise of his freedom and how he almost hit Alexei but didn't, because when he looked at him, he saw his old self. Liza is moved by how much Grisha has changed, and she kisses him. Meanwhile, in the real world, Aglaya appears on a popular talk show and claims that Grisha has been kidnapped and is being tortured for fun. The police see this and announce an investigation on the news. When Pavel watches it, he panics and wants to shut everything down before the police show up. But Lev says it's too early and insists they still have time to let Grisha perform one last brave act. Since Grisha is clueless and doesn't notice anything strange around him, they decide to send a fake group of attackers to raid the village. At that moment, Grisha is spending time with Liza when she suddenly tells him that if they ever get separated, she wants him to know that everything between them has been real for her. Artyom shows up and tells them to hurry back to the village because it's under attack. Grisha believes him right away and says they should go the other way to stay safe. But Artyom uses an excuse that Lev feeds him through a hidden mic, saying the attackers will burn the village if every worker isn't there. Back in the village, the attackers have been given a big food offering, but their leader also demands a woman. He picks one from the crowd. Her father quickly steps in to protect her, and since the attackers respect bravery, they let him fight one of their men for her freedom. The father loses the fight and is beheaded, but because he shed blood for her, the attackers accept that as payment and let his daughter go free. The next woman the leader picks is Liza. She cries out for Grisha to help her, but he gets scared and runs away. Since the plan is clearly failing, Pavel wants to stop everything, especially now that the police are on their way. But Lev says they should wait a bit more. He still believes in Grisha. Then, Grisha sees the bird drone flying overhead and takes it as a sign from Liza's guardian angel. This gives him the courage to act. He jumps on a horse, grabs Liza's old stick, and rides back. He hits the attacker on the head, pulls Liza onto the horse, and they escape together. Just as they ride away, the police arrive on the set. Since Grisha isn't there, Pavel, Anastasia, and Lev easily lie to the police by saying they're just shooting a movie. The officers believe them and leave without arresting anyone. Meanwhile, Grisha and Liza ride past the estate's borders and come across a gas station, which leaves Grisha very confused. Liza is about to tell him the truth, but right then, the sniper shoots a tranquilizer and knocks him out. Grisha wakes up later in a hospital, where Pavel tells him he's been in a coma for 3 months after a car crash. When Grisha asks about the village and Liza, Pavel pretends he doesn't know what he's talking about. After that, Grisha tries to go back to his usual partying lifestyle, but things don't feel the same anymore. Grisha even gives his car to Captain Semenov to make up for how he treated him. One night at a club, he runs into Alexei and Aglaya and asks them about Liza, but they act like they don't know him. Grisha apologizes, looking really sad, so the actors feel bad and decide to help. The next day, they take him to the ranch where the horses were rented and where Liza now works. When he finally sees her, he asks if what she said was true, if everything they shared was real. When Liza says yes, they kiss and start a new relationship. Later, Grisha takes Liza as his date to his father's wedding to Anastasia. There, he thanks his dad for putting him through the crazy experience that helped him grow into a better person. After that, more spoiled rich kids are sent to the village, and Grisha helps guide them through their own journeys of change.